Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Growing Me Ecosystem Hedera Wallet Snap on MetaMask Snaps webinar. I am Devin Saxon. I'm from the product marketing team over here on Swirlds Labs. And so we're going to go ahead and be exploring the practical use cases of this exciting new application. If you're unfamiliar, MetaMask Snaps is an innovative application of plugins that provides access to MetaMask's 30 million monthly active users. So it's now available on Hedera. And we're going to learn how the Hedera Wallet Snap simplifies integrating Hedera Hashgraph into MetaMask Snap and discover essential features like sending HBAR and retrieving account info. Today with me, we have the Tuum Technologies team. Both the co-founders presenting will be Donald and Kiran. And again, they're just going to go in and show this newly launched Snap and how it enhances the overall user experience while just streamlining everything for developers. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to y'all, and y'all can jump in.
Thanks, Devin. Yeah, as he mentioned, my name is Donald Bullers, and Karen's here today talking about MetaMask Snaps. So we're from Tuum Technologies. We've been working on MetaMask Snaps and working alongside Hedera, Swirlds, HBAR Foundation, and others for over a year now. And most recently, we came out with this Hedera Wallet Snap, where we'll be going through the details of that today. And why this is important and significant is if you have been using a MetaMask wallet prior to using this Snap, now you have the ability to go and use the Snap with your MetaMask wallet. Or if you have not been familiar with MetaMask, you can test it out as well. And we really want everyone from the MetaMask ecosystem and also from the Hedera ecosystem to get a chance to try out the Snap and also try it out on the Pulse web application that we've already used to integrate the Snap. And we'll just go through the different steps today to break that down in a more developer-friendly way. So here's Kiran, and he can help you out.
Thanks, Don. Hi, everyone. I'm Kiran. I'm going to be talking about the Hedera Wallet Snap. But before that, I'm going to briefly talk about what are snaps. So let me share my screen. Let's talk about snaps. So what are snaps? On MetaMask, basically, you can send, it's mostly used for EVM, Ethereum virtual machine compatible blockchains, where you're able to send crypto back and forth. You can do all sorts of things, interact with smart contracts, so on and so forth. But what Snaps allows you to do is for developers, it allows developers to extend the functionality of MetaMask. So what that means is previously you could not use MetaMask to, for instance, access your Bitcoin wallet or Dogecoin or XRP or whatever. Now with Snaps, what you can do is as a developer, you can build a dedicated Snap. For instance, someone has already built a Snap that lets you interact, transact on the Bitcoin network using your existing MetaMask wallet. So you don't leave your MetaMask wallet when it comes to interacting with Bitcoin. So that's the general idea. It extends the functionality of MetaMask, which previously it would not have been possible, but with Snaps, it is entirely possible. And I am going to be talking about Hedera Wallet Snap. So we have our, let me briefly go through the documentation. Yeah, this is a good place to start. So this is our documentation. You can go ahead and check it out, docs.tuum.tech/Hedera Wallet Snap. And this documentation talks about the Snap, what a Snap is, what it does, how it works, how does the Hedera Wallet Snap work, and we're gonna see how the Snap works in detail by playing around in a local environment here. But the general idea is previously, if you wanted to interact with Hedera, you would have to add Hedera JSON RPC relay to the network on MetaMask, and then you would have to, go through that. And then even then, you are only able to do everything that is possible through the JSON RPC relay. For instance, if you wanted to interact with the Hedera consensus service or Hedera file service or anything else that's not supported through the JSON RPC relay, well, you wouldn't be able to do that. But with the Snap, with the Hedera Wallet Snap, eventually you'll be able to. Now, for the first version, it's a very basic snap. It lets you, it works similar to just an RPC relay. The only difference is you don't need to, as a user, you don't need to add the Hedera network because it's not relying on the JSON RPC relay, but rather it directly integrates with Hedera SDK from the snap. So everything that happens, from the snap, it is executed in a sandbox environment within MetaMask. And so what that means is, all the private keys, that are part of your account, your MetaMask account, it's stored by MetaMask. So the snaps don't really do anything with that other than store it in a sandbox environment. And they do not leave, nothing goes in or nothing goes out unless it is exposed through the Snap APIs. And so that's the general idea behind Hedera Wallet Snap. All right, next, you can go ahead and look at other documentation here about the Snap. It talks about the architecture, how the Snap is built, how private keys are stored within within MetaMask, and how snaps work. And last but not least, before I move on to the actual development environment, I did want to mention that feel free to look at the Snap RPC API section, because this is the section that has all the current methods that are available through Snap integration. So any application that integrates with the Snap has access to these APIs. Now, the first one is hello. It's a very simple API. It basically displays a MetaMask dialog box. You can see here. So if an application, and we're going to see this in action in a little bit, but if an application were to call this hello API of the Snap that is exposed by the Snap, then what it does is the Snap actually interacts with the MetaMask SDK internally, and then it shows the MetaMask dialog box as displayed here. That's the general idea. Now, there's also a live demo section for each and every single API. So you can come here and then try to run this locally here if you want to. And you can either just do it directly there, or you can even open up another tab, and then you can see the code that that is used to call this API. So it has the HTML code, it has the JavaScript code. You can take a look at this, and you can basically copy paste into your own application and start integrating it. Or as a user, if you wanted to play around without installing anything locally, you can just play around with this. So let me just go ahead and do this. So when I connect to Snap, it basically reaches out to the MetaMask Snaps directory, and then it fetches the Hedera Wallet Snap. The latest version is 0.1.5, and this is the basic installation of how the Snap works. So it tells you what the Snap, what you are granting permissions for the Snap. So it has access to the Ethereum provider, it has access to the internet, because the Snap needs to go out to the internet to access Hedera mirror nodes, Hedera nodes. And then this Snap also allows other Snaps to communicate directly with this Snap. So there, in the future, other Snaps can actually directly communicate with the Hedera Wallet Snap to extend even more functionality that's beyond what Hedera Wallet Snap offers. So you don't need to redo everything that Hedera Wallet Snap has already done, but it's very composable. So you are able to extend the functionality of Hedera Wallet Snap by developing your own Snap by interacting with the different functionalities. And let me just go ahead and install it, and ready to go. And then this is a simple message that you see, general information about the Snap. Applications do not have access to your private keys, blah, blah, blah. As a beta version, not recommended with large amounts. It does not have access to the private key. One thing, feel free to look at this, but and we're going to see this in action. But the way that the Snap works is Snaps by themselves don't have access to the private keys of your MetaMask account. So what happens is Snap actually generates a new Snap wallet, which is stored within the sandbox environment. that is associated with your currently connected MetaMask account. Now, if that was a mouthful, we're going to see this in action, but the general idea is as long as you are connecting to the exact same MetaMask account on another browser, another device, you will have access to the exact same Snap account that across devices. So that's what's there. All right, so let's just go ahead and call this Hello World API. As you can see here, it basically calls the Hello API of the Snap, and you basically have to grant access to these 3 accounts that I currently have. And the Hello API, its main purpose, all it does is it displays a dialog box, MetaMask dialog box. So as you can see, it's tightly integrated with MetaMask. So all the functionality that MetaMask offers, Snap also has access to it. And so that's the general idea. All right, now let's actually move on to local and you can feel free to play around with any of these Snap APIs here, learn about them, how it works, how to integrate into your own application, and then you can look at the code. All right, so the code repository for the Snap is available on github.com/hashgraph /Hedera MetaMask snaps. And then this is going to be the main repository where all the snaps, hopefully, that other developers want to build on Hedera, you can feel free to contribute to this repository. So if you had an idea for your own Snap, you could come here and then send a pull request and then send your code here so that it's all part of the same package. Now, Hedera Wallet Snap, this is the code, and I'm not going to deep dive into the code here. Just wanted to show where the location is for where the code is located. But as part of the code repository, you'll see that under packages, there is 2 other smaller packages. One is the Snap, which is the core code of the Snap. So everything that you see under Snap is part of the Snap, MetaMask Snap, Hedera Wallet Snap code. So, all the APIs that we looked at earlier, it's all here, and it's, entirely open source. Everyone is welcome to look at it. The Snap did go through audit, so you can take a look at the audit report yourself. But also, other than that, there's also another repository called Site, and this actually is it's a basic React application that integrates with the Snap locally. So you can come on here and then play around and look at the code, how this example website is integrating the Hedera Wallet Snap, and then you can basically get a general idea, copy code, paste it into your own application, and you can get up to speed pretty quickly. All right, next, let's move on to the actual development environments, how that works. So I'm already here under Hedera MetaMask snaps, packages, Hedera Wallet Snap. So all I need to do is run yarn, which will install all the dependencies that this Snap has. I already have all the dependencies installed, so it didn't take me much time. And then next thing you're going to do is yarn start. And what this is going to do is it's going to start both the Snap and the example website that we looked at earlier. So we're going to be looking at the example website. As you may be aware, so you cannot really interact with the Snap. There's no Snap UI that you can interact with directly like you can do on MetaMask, but rather it's the job of different applications to integrate the Snap itself so that they can expose various functionalities. So there may be many applications that integrate with the same Hedera Wallet Snap, but that does something different on each of those applications. And so here, let's go ahead and see this if it's running. If it's running properly, then it should be running on localhost 8000, but it's not. So let me just go ahead and rerun that. While that's happening, one thing also is you can come over to MetaMask snaps directory, so it is snaps.metamask.io, and you can search for Hedera Wallet Snap over here. So right here, Hedera Wallet, you can look at the other information, and this is just one way like users come through this particular directory and one way is to just install it, by clicking this, and it's already installed, so it's not gonna do anything. But after it's installed, it's gonna ask you to go to this companion website, and we're gonna take a look at this. But the companion website, this pulse.tuum.tech, you can try it out today, but it integrates with the Snap. And so currently, as of right now, the Hedera Wallet Snap offers functionalities such as getting account information, account balance, and then it also lets you transfer HBAR, and it also lets you import both. It connects to the MetaMask account, but if you have a wallet elsewhere, for instance, on Hashback Wallet or somewhere else, you can actually take the private key of, export the private key of that wallet and then import it to the Snap and then use it. So let's try to run this. We can do yarn start. So it should be running both the example website and the Snap locally. So we can see and interact with the Snap through the example website. So looks like it's going. Give it a couple more seconds. All right, there you go. So, and then you can come over to localhost :8000. This is the example website that is run when you do yarn start. And this example website basically integrates the Hedera Wallet Snap, and then it interacts with different Snap APIs that are available. All right, so first thing, we can go ahead and choose testnet, mainnet, or previewnet. I would suggest either testnet or mainnet. Previewnet also works, but sometimes it may not be reliable. But yeah, testnet and mainnet, both of them should work. So let's go ahead and try to connect it. So what this happens is locally, it just calls MetaMask API. And you can see here that before, when we tried connecting to the Snap through the documentation, it was installing Hedera Wallet Snap, but now it's actually trying to install the Snap that we're running locally. So we can play around with that. All right, so it's the same installation request as before, 0.1.5. Let's go ahead and press OK. All right, now that's installed. Now, let's go ahead and click on send hello message. So what that does is it does the exact same thing as we did earlier on basic APIs. So it calls the hello API of the Snap. So let's go ahead and trigger this. And it asks me to connect to the different accounts. And then you're seeing exactly same response here from the hello API. Now, there are other APIs available, and for instance, for the get account information, interacts with the get account info API, Snap API. Send HBAR interacts with the transfer, crypto API of the Snap. And then there's two additional APIs that are available here on the example website, but you may not see on the documentation just yet. These will be updated whenever we release the next version of the Snap, which is 0.2.0, which should be coming out pretty soon. But the idea is one of the Snap API lets you sign arbitrary messages, similar to how sign in with Ethereum works on MetaMask. So it lets you sign any arbitrary messages. So you can actually do the exact same thing using the Snap account as well. And then get transactions basically gets the transaction history of the currently connected account. All right. So here, Snap works a little differently because when you interact with get account information, actually we can see here that let me go ahead and connect to the other account so we can actually. All right, I'm connecting to the second account, so it asks me the exact same thing, and we're going to see 5 HBAR. You can see here that Hedera EVM address is 0xE454 and then ends in EC. But when you check out the MetaMask account, it's actually different, completely different, because it ends in 211. So the MetaMask account address and the Snap account address are completely different. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but the way that Snap works is, again, just to reiterate from earlier, Snap, Hedera Wallet Snap, generates a new wallet that is associated with this particular MetaMask account. So the account address that you see, it's completely different. It's a separate wallet that the Snap stores, the private key, all of that in a sandbox environment. And so even if the outer account, which is the MetaMask account, this one has 2 HBAR, but my Snap account has 5 HBAR because these are 2 different accounts. And there is a way to import this outer MetaMask account onto the Snap, and we're going to take a look at that in a little bit. But that's one of the differences that you need to be aware of, because as mentioned earlier, MetaMask does not allow direct access to the private key of MetaMask accounts. Because of that, our Snap had to generate an entirely new wallet. But do note that as long as you're connected to this outer MetaMask account, no matter what browser, no matter what device, you will always get you can always get back to the exact same Snap account, no matter what. So that's how this Snap works. All right, so I have 5 HBAR here. I also have the account ID. Now, one thing is get account information. This works a little differently because there are 2 ways to retrieve account information. You can either go out to the Hedera ledger and then get the account information directly from there. But to do that, you would have to pay a certain amount of fees, and that's just enforced through the Hedera SDK. Or you can get the exact same account information, but also other information like the amount of other tokens, non-fungible, fungible tokens that you own. You can only get those kind of information from Hedera Mirror node. And so this Snap API, get account information, does both of those. So the way that it works is if you don't, and again, you can check out the documentation, but if you don't pass in the parameter mirror node URL, if you do not pass that in, then it assumes that, okay, you just want to get the account information by reaching out to the ledger directly, in which case you would have to pay a certain amount of fee. So let's go ahead and do that, and we will see how that's going to look. So I'm going to try to get account information. And it says, even the Snap has a dialog box that lets you know. Note that since you didn't pass in this, mirror node URL parameter, the Snap will query the Hedera ledger node, blah, blah, blah. And then estimated query fee, and it shows you the estimated max query fee, because each query that you do to the node, it's going to cost you some HBARs. And this is why, you would have to pay a certain amount of fees for that. So let me go ahead and approve that. All right, there you go. So it tells you, it basically fetches the account information directly from Hedera ledger node, which means you paid a certain amount of fee, and then this is the information that you get. And then you can see here that it took some amount of HBAR. Now let's go ahead and do the exact same thing, but this time we're going to pass in the mirror node. So on this example website, the way to pass in that parameter is to just pass in the mirror node. So we're just going to do the publicly available what is it? I forgot. mirrornode.hedera.com. mirrornode.hedera.com. So if you pass in a mirror node, doesn't matter which mirror node you pass in, as long as you pass that in. Now, if you try to get the account information, it actually goes out to the Hedera mirror node. Now, you saw that, well, there was no dialog box to pay a certain amount of query, like fee, because it's free to retrieve the information from the mirror node. Now, you may run into issues like, maybe like this mirror node that you're using has some threshold, and if it's being used by a lot of people at the same time, it may not work. So as an application developer, it's usually a good idea to have your own mirror node so that you don't run into those limitations if you just want to use a publicly available mirror node. So that's the difference between those two ways of getting the account information. And you can play around with the other APIs, but for now, I'm just going to be sending some HBAR to another account. So here, I'm just going to send it to the first account here. And I'm going to be sending, 0.5 HBAR. Now, when you try send, it basically displays and it interacts with the transfer API of the Snap. And then that transfer API, before it transfers anything, it displays this confirmation box. And then it tells you, okay, there's no memo that was passed. And then the max transaction fee is 1 HBAR. That's by default, and this will change in the future. In the next version, it's going to be much less than 1 HBAR. And then you can actually send multiple transactions at the same time. And here we only have one transaction. This example website only has one transaction, but in your own application, you may have multiple transactions, and you can do that at the same time, and it'll show you all the different kinds of information. So if you were to transfer some other type of token, not HBAR, like Karate token on HBAR, or sauce or whatever it is, you can do that, and you can do that through the use of the snap. So here it tells you, it's sending into this, asset is HBAR, amount is 0.5. So let's go ahead and approve. And then it basically gives you the transaction receipt. So this was successful. Now, if we check the balance, in order to check the balance, you basically need to retrieve the account information from the ledger. Whoops. There you go. So 4.49. So that's it for that. So let me go ahead and show you how you would import. For instance, you may already have a MetaMask account and you may have some HBAR. Well, how do you connect to that account? That's the outer MetaMask account onto the Snap. Well, there is a way to do that. That's because Snap allows you to do that. First, this is my test account, by the way. It's a completely new wallet, so don't in the production, obviously you wouldn't display your private key, but I am going to here because this is a completely test account. I don't really care. I don't have anything here. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and first of all, let's try to, here you can click checkbox called external account. And then if you were to pass in, you can, by the way, here you can pass in either an EVM address or an account ID. It does not matter. Because it takes in both. The Snap is able to determine whether you are passing in the EVM address or the account ID. It works with both, doesn't matter. And here, you pass in the curve. Usually it's XDA, but if you have your wallet elsewhere, like Hashpack, then generally that's an ED255119, so you would have to put that in. So we support both XDA and ED25519. And then this, ignore this for now. We'll come back to this in a little bit. So what this is saying is I want to connect to the external account with this EVM address, which is my outer MetaMask account, which has 2 HBAR, right? So let me go ahead and do that. Now what it's going to ask us is, because this is the first time, you only get asked for this the first time, by the way. It's basically asks you to enter the private key that is associated with this particular EVM address or account ID if you were to pass that in. Now let me go ahead and actually let me cancel that so I can copy the private key. So let me copy the private key again. All right, that's my private key. So let me go ahead and try to connect to this account information again. Now I'm going to enter the private key. And once it's done, now we actually fetched our MetaMask account and we imported our MetaMask account, which we were not able to do by default, into our Snap now. Now you can see here that, okay, it does display 2 HBAR. I got 2 HBAR there. I got 2 HBAR. The Hedera EVM address matches the one of my MetaMask account. In this way, you're able to import any kind of wallet that is out there, including if you have a Hashback wallet or any kind of wallet from out there. So now if you wanted to use this particular account for, let's say, I don't know, signing an arbitrary message, let's say, all you need to do is check this checkbox and then put in the account, oops, not the private key, put in the EVM address or account ID, which you want to use. So this is what this is doing is in the background. We can actually take a look at what's happening by developer mode. And then over here, we'll see what actually is the parameter that's being passed when we try to connect to the external account. So let me come back here. So now, if what I'm saying is I want to use this external account to sign, to call this sign API of the Snap. So then I sign. Let me go to the other one. you see here that it's actually passing in this external account parameter. And this is defined in the documentation. So if you wanted to connect to an external account, all you need to do is pass in this external account parameter and then pass in the account ID or VM address. You can either pass in account ID or VM address, doesn't matter. And then what it's saying is, I don't want to use the Snap account directly, but I want to use this external account, which I imported before. So because this is our second time doing it, it's not asking me for the private key anymore because the private key is stored within the Snap sandbox environment. Now what this is doing is it's basically approving transacting this. So we can do the same thing. Let's say if we want to send HBAR from this account over to the other account, let's say, I can do that. So I just put that in, and let me just do 01. So I can do that. So it works with every single API. So you're able to use your external account within the Snap as well. So now, if you were to get the fetch the hello world information, now, whoops, oh, the hello world doesn't have the have the external account logic implemented. All right, I just called get account information. Now you see here that it was taken out. So this did work correctly. Now you may be wondering, what is this box here? Now with the get account information is special because it not only lets you get account information of your own account, but any account that is out there. So I can actually pass in a parameter here, and we can actually see this in action. So let me get the account information, and you see here that where is the account? Yeah, params. So we're passing in, we're calling get account information, and we're actually trying to get the information for 0.0.1. So this is the account information that you get for this particular address. So that's what's special about it. All right. Well, that's basically how you can import both the regular account, which is the Snap account, and then your MetaMask account. Now you can see here even MetaMask UI updated. With MetaMask, you're only able to use JSON RPC relay. But with the Snap, you can connect to the MetaMask account and a non-MetaMask account, and then do the exact same thing that's available. You can see the possibilities of something like this on your own application because we're going to see this in action on our application that's displayed here. So you can come over to pulse.tuum.tech. This is the companion website of the Snap. So this makes it really easy for everyone to just get started. So on this website, if you don't have the Snap installed, it'll install it. So let's go ahead and install it. It's already installed, so it's just going through the process. All right, so let me switch over to this one. All right, let me go ahead and connect one more time. All right, it's asking you, so this is already using the sign API of the Snap, by the way, the website, in order to sign a particular message. And this is just one application that integrates with the Snap. As a developer, you're welcome to build your own similar application or another kind of application that does something completely different. And so this Snap account, you can do a lot of things here. For instance, it shows you the Snap account address is 0xCA53, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then underneath that, you see 0x0B and 41. So that is actually the MetaMask account. So it actually tells you, okay, well, it's associated with this MetaMask account. It's not really connecting to that, but rather, it uses a completely different Snap wallet, and all of that is taken care of for you. Now, you can also, as we saw earlier, you can also import the MetaMask account here if you wanted to, but let me come back to that in a little bit. All right, so one other thing that this particular companion website does is, on Hedera, what happens is by default, unlike other blockchains, on Hedera, until a transaction is sent to the ledger, the account is not activated. So you're not able to do anything. in order to do that, well, until your account is activated, you're not able to use anything. So it was a chicken and egg problem for this companion website. So what we did as Tuum Tech is, if you have, if you come to this website and just come to this page, reload, whatever, and then if your account is not activated yet, our backend infrastructure basically sends a very small amount of HBAR to then activate it on the ledger, so that you can go ahead and use it right away. So you don't need to worry about activating your account. All of that is taken care of for you by pulse.tuum.tech. That logic is completely separate from the snap. And then after it's activated, now you can do all sorts of things. Like you can look at the transactions, over here, and then it's gonna take a while to populate. And then you can also send HBAR. It also tells you the account ID, the EVM address, and all that. So one thing is, let's actually see this in action. So for my account 3, I have not activated this account yet. So let's see how that works. So if you were to go to console, we can see that. So let me just go ahead and switch to my account 3. This account is not activated. That's completely fine. Now, if I were to refresh this page, it's going to tell me this Hedera account is not yet active on mainnet. And then after that, it basically tries to connect to the backend, and then it tries to activate it through Pulse, through our backend. It looks like this was successful. And then after it's activated, then you're asked to sign the message, and then come back to this page. So let me go ahead and look at that. So my account, which was not activated before, is now activated pretty quickly on mainnet. This works for both mainnet and testnet. Now, if you were to refresh this page, it's not going to tell you that the account is not activated, because it is now. And so in that way, you can come over to Pulse, activate any kind of account that has not been activated before, and then you can feel free to get your account ID. You can even send HBAR to an exchange. For that, you would need to select memo, because a lot of exchanges require memo. You can send to an exchange address. We can receive from an exchange address. So everything that is possible as far as Hedera accounts go, you can do everything through pulse.tuum.tech, including being able to transact with either the account ID or an EVM address. You can feel free to switch between either of those, because remember that on exchanges only support account IDs. They do not support EVM addresses. So by coming to this website, you can activate your account, or just connect to it. And then after activating, you get your account ID, and then you can basically send any amount of HBAR, send it to this account, and then do everything else. Now that's it. So one more thing I wanted to show is, so you see here that we are now connected to 2 accounts. I am going to connect back to the first account right here, and then I'm going to add a MetaMask account. So I'm going to be adding this outer account, and we can see that in action. So let me just do that again. Account details, private key. Almost done. All right. So, by the way, for now, we only support Exta accounts, even if the Snap itself supports both Exta and ED25519. For now, we only support Exta, but in the next version of the website, we will support both of them. But for now, you're welcome to just import your outer MetaMask account onto the Snap and start playing around with that. So this is our outermost MetaMask account that is not connected to by default. So then you can import it, and then you just click add a new account, and then put in your private key. And then it's asking you to sign the message, and then there you go. So now I come back here. This mainnet account, I was actually connected to testnet here. That's why I was like, where is my HBAR? All right, you can actually do that. So let me go ahead and connect to the testnet. So you can go to settings, network, testnet, come back here, and then it's asking you to sign again. So you need to do the same thing for both testnet and mainnet. Now you can see here, now I got 10 HBAR. That's exactly the same amount of HBAR that you see on the MetaMask. So in this way, you're able to import, play around with both the MetaMask account, non-MetaMask account, and like other types of accounts that were exported using something like Hashback or something else. And you are welcome to try it out on your own. One last thing I wanted to mention before we go is that even if right now there's not a lot of APIs, the base foundation is set up. And so in the future, we'll be able to support a lot of things like Hedera. The next thing that the Snap will support is Hedera token service. So, and everything that Hedera token service has, the Snap will expose all of those APIs so that something like Sausage Swap or any other application that you have, you can integrate with it and then start to build your own unique application that interacts with the Hedera token service natively. Because with the JSON RPC relay, it is only able to interact with the methods that are available through the JSON RPC API methods. You cannot do everything else. And so even in the future, whenever we support Hedera file service, you're able to do that using your MetaMask account, whereas with the JSON RPC relay, you would not be able to. Now, both of them have their pros and cons, because one thing with JSON RPC relay is it not only works on MetaMask, but also pretty recently, Wallet Connect also supports that. So, you're able to do that on other wallets. But whereas with the Snap, it is only available on Snap. It'll probably, on MetaMask, and it'll only be available on MetaMask because it's a MetaMask native feature. And so that's one of the disadvantages of the Snap. So, or as an application developer, you're welcome to integrate both the JSON RPC relay. If you are not on MetaMask, and if you are on MetaMask, you can integrate with the Snap to unlock additional functionalities. Like you're able to, build your own Dropbox kind of application using file service, smart contracts, and others. All right, well, that's everything I wanted to talk about. Let me stop sharing my screen. There you go. All right, thanks.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for all that, Kiran and Donald. This is really exciting. Just really exciting to see what impact it has on the Hedera community and kind of the contribution to the growth of the Hedera ecosystem. It's just really going to reach a lot of new audiences, enterprises, developers, individual retail users. It's exciting and exciting to see what comes along down the road too. So I want to thank you again for that presentation. Again, if you want to stay connected with Hedera, go to hedera.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter. You can follow our Twitter, join our Discord. But thank you for joining this webinar today, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.